What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another video here on my channel, Ty Drives. My name is Ty behind the camera as always, and today we are taking a look at a very neat vehicle and a very neat spec. This is the 2021 Audi e-tron Sportback in the Prestige trim level with the black optic package. In this video, we're going to take a walk around the exterior, see what makes this car different than all the other e-trons that you see on the road. And we'll take a look at what's under the hood, then work our way into the interior, starting with the cargo area, rear seats, and then finally moving forward to the front seats. And at the end of the video, we're going to take this out for a nice thorough test drive, get out on some back roads and get a feel for the suspension, handling, and acceleration. But without further ado, let's get into the features. Start out front with the headlamps. Now, all e-trons, regardless of trim level, will have full LED headlights. That means your high and low beams, turning signals, and the LED daytime running lights, all LED for the e-tron. Now, really neat black optic package on this car, and that means all of the black accents that you see on this car obviously turn to black. Now, coming standard on the car, everything would kind of have like an aluminum look. So it all depends what you like better. I personally think the black optic looks great on this cyan beige exterior color. It's kind of like a flat sort of beige color, like Audi almost makes like a Nardo gray. Well, that's their take on a beige color of this sort. But up front you have headlight washers, parking sensors all the way around, and you also have the front camera for the 360 degrees view camera system, and a pretty large air intake at the front. Taking a look down the side, we have the pretty large wheels on this car. They are 21-inch wheels, and this is the wheels that you get when you get the black optic package. You can see it's kind of silver on the face of the wheel and black on the inside. Large rotors, large calipers as well. And we have the charging door right here. Now, there's actually, for the Prestige trim level in 2021, there's a charging door right here, and there's a charging door on the same exact spot on the other side. As you can see, press the button and it lowers right on down, and you can do AC or DC charging. It depends what you'd like to use or what your abilities are at your house. It'll take about 10 hours to charge to 100% on the AC charging, and about 30 minutes to 80% on the DC fast charging. And you should be seeing right around 218 miles according to the EPA on a battery range. Taking a look down the side, you can see more of the black optic blacked out trim. You have a blind spot warning on the mirror LED turn signal, and also a camera underneath. You have smart key for all 4 door handles. More of the black trim on the bottom of the doors. And the tires measure 265/45. And of course, this one is the Sportback, so you can see at this angle how the roof comes down at a pretty neat angle, rather than a sharper angle on the normal e-tron. And it's also got a pretty nice deck-lid spoiler here, and I guess you could say another one up top. See the shark fin antenna up there, and the panoramic sunroof. Full LED back here for the tail lamps as well, as you'd expect. Nice big light bar too. More black optic elements back here, and this car also has the towing package. You could tow about 4,000 pounds with this e-tron, which is pretty awesome. And we've got various badging back here, the trunk release, the rear view camera, and parking sensors, of course. I think this is probably the nicest e-tron I have seen, and this is why I chose to do this particular car. I had to show it off. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. All right, so under the hood is, I guess, where we could talk about the motor, or I guess motors you could say, of this car. Now, combined horsepower and torque is 402 horsepower, 490 pound-feet of torque, and it's got a 95 kilowatt-hour capacity battery pack. Now, there's actually 2 motors for this car, one for the front axle, one for the rear axle, thus making it quattro all-wheel drive. But under the hood, everything looks pretty tidy. I have a little bit of electrical components, which, if you ask me, I have absolutely no idea what any of this stuff does. However, they do give you a little bit of storage space under here, and that's where you'll find all of the charging equipment. So all the wires, the hookups, and the converters under here. And they give you a little bit of a light. And the latch to open the hood is right in the center. Alright, so quite obviously the e-tron Sportback comes with a full power tailgate, as any car that costs $87,000 should. And back here you could see that the Sportback design robs just a little bit of height space. It's more of an angle from like here up. And the regular e-tron will offer more, obviously, height than this will, but you still have lots of storage space in here. Lengthwise at least. And when you lift up the cargo floor, you can see you have a removable tray down there for extra storage and a spare tire. You can see there's storage off to either side, lighting up here, and two different cargo shelves, so that'll kind of protect prying eyes from looking in and seeing what you have in your cargo area. As you can see, the rear seats do fold down at a 40-20-40 split. To close the trunk, you have a couple of buttons up here. One is to lock the vehicle and close the trunk. One is simply to just lower the trunk down. And a couple of things I wanted to show you with the door. Obviously, all four door handles have the smart key entry, but they're also electronic. So take a listen when I pull on the door handle. You can hear that it is actually an electronic release. Also, one more thing on the Prestige is you also have soft closed doors. We have the beautiful brown interior to match the beautiful beige exterior. You have sunshades on the rear doors. Absolutely beautiful use of materials. You have suede and leather, all stitching and all of that good stuff on the door. And if you're worried about the electronic door handles, all you need to do is just pull it all the way, and that'll actually be a physical release so that you can get out of the car in case the battery dies. Bang & Olufsen speakers on this car. I believe it's 16 speakers. You also have some storage in the door. Really quite nice color for the interior. Take a look at the grain on the leather too. It's beautiful. You can fold down the rear seats with this latch right here, and it'll fold down pretty much flat. Plenty of room back here. The front seat is adjusted to a normal driving position for myself. I'm right around 5'10", so just a frame of reference for you, I have about 3-4 inches of legroom left. You have mat pockets on the rear of the door. You have air vents back here, and this is also a screen. When you power on the vehicle, it'll all light up, and the rear passengers have their own climate controls and also heated rear seats. Just below the climate controls, you have a 12-volt and 2 USB-C inlets. As you can see, there's not that much of a hump back here too, so there's not a lot of drivetrain components running from the front and rear. So you can definitely fit a third passenger back here relatively comfortable. You can see the panoramic sunroof up there doesn't go all that far back because of the sloping roof line, but at least you have an oversized sunroof. You have LED lighting back here. You can also fold down the center portion of the seat with a little switch right under here. And you also have a center armrest with storage and cup holders. All right, now the part that you've all been waiting for. Let's take a look at the driver's cockpit. Same materials as out back. You have the suede, the beautiful metalwork, and the leather. You have individual child locks for the rear doors, your window switches, and power folding. Heated mirror controls are up there too. You have the lock-unlock, two-person memory for both the front seats, and a little trunk release with some storage right next to it. And at this angle on the mirror, you can see this little black cutout. That is actually your blind spot. So that'll illuminate yellow when someone's in your blind spot. It's a lot easier than trying to look at something that's embedded in the mirror. On the left of the dash, you have some wood trim, high gloss in your headlight controls. You also have a power tilt telescoping steering wheel with that button right there. Pretty large storage console in there, and usually that's where you find the owner's manual pouch, and that's a pretty big piece. So that'll pretty much swallow up half my arm, that storage console there, very large. Hood release and pedals down there. Full powered seats with massage for the Prestige. You can see in the center, you press that button, that'll activate your massage and also bring up the rest of the seat controls that you can then control through the screen. And it'll double with the lumbar controls. It'll also control the thigh extensions and whatnot. All right, let's hop in, quote unquote, start it up and see what the rest of the interior is all about. All right, so here's the key fob you get with the e-tron. It's pretty much the new style Audi key, nothing special, just a lock, unlock, trunk release. There's also a physical key in there. If you press the button, it'll slide out from the bottom. And your panic alarm at the top. All you do to start the car is just pretty much a normal procedure. Foot on the brake, and start stop logo right down here. And now the car is ready to drive. First off, we could take a look at the steering wheel here. Pretty neat steering wheel. I believe they only use this steering wheel on just a couple of models. And the special ones at that, I believe the A8 and the e-tron are pretty much the only cars in the Audi lineup that use this steering wheel. Really neat kind of double wing design with the buttons up top. You have all the buttons over here to control the virtual cockpit, and all the buttons over here to control like your Bluetooth telephone, voice commands, kind of a programmable button right there, and then skipping and volume for the radio. Behind the steering wheel, you have paddle shifters for your regenerative braking. You also have a couple of stalks behind there too. One for your turn signals, high beams. At the end, there's a button to turn on and off your lane keeping. And you also have your adaptive cruise control stalk over there as well as your front wipers. But for this portion of the video, we're going to focus on the virtual cockpit. Kind of get you guys accustomed to it a little bit. Don't want to go too in depth because it'll take me for days. However, this is pretty much your main screen right here. And you could use this side of all the buttons to configure it. As you can see, in the center will change. Then at any time, you can also press the view button, and what's in the center will get a little bit bigger. And the most important outer gauges will get just a little bit smaller. You can also use the arrows on the top to scroll between your radio screen, phone, and the all-important and the most cool navigation screen. And you can also zoom in and out. And again, press the view button whenever you'd like. So that's pretty much the screen up here. Lots of different information. You can also change radio stations through that and everything without having to go through the main system. So really neat virtual cockpit. And a little bit different on the e-tron than the normal models. Upper dash is quite nice. You have a leather, soft to the touch, and stitching. A couple of speakers up there too. You have some air vents. And right below is your main infotainment screen. It's all touchscreen, and it's kind of a haptic feedback sort of system. You could do things like swipe from the top and get more menus, such as your sound settings. Stream over 25 extra channels. As you can see, you can adjust lots of things since we have the nice Bang & Olufsen sound system in this car. Going back to home, we have the radio screen. Change the source over there and your list. We have media, phone, and navigation. And you could input your destinations right over here. We have phone apps that has to do with your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We have your vehicle screen where you could select your drive mode. Quite a few drive modes with this car. Off-road, all-road, efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. You can customize individual with a few different things. This car also has an air suspension, which gives you 5 settings of height, and it'll kind of adapt to whatever driving mode you're in. If you go back to home, there's just a few more things I wanted to show you, such as the general settings. These are all the things you can customize. Actually, going back into vehicle, I wanted to show you the seat screen too. So you can actually adjust the upper and lower side support as well with this menu right here, and then adjust the lower thigh extensions. This is also your massage. You have 4 different massage patterns and 3 different intensities. Pretty neat there. You also have your lighting and visibility, which has to do with the very beautiful ambient lighting in this car. There's light strips found throughout the interior. Also, the e-tron script lights up, is kind of like backlit. Very cool. And you could choose 2 different colors at a time. I believe there's probably more than 30 colors that you can choose from. You also have kind of like a jumblation of 3 different apps, and you can customize what you want to see. So you have the radio, what your telephone's doing, and what the nav is doing. And there's a couple other various apps on the last page. Taking a look down below is most of your climate controls. So you have temperatures to either side, so 4-zone climate control. Fan speed is in the center, and the where you want the air to come out. Up top, there's a couple of toggles too. One for your hill descent, kind of like a customization button. Your garage door home links. Various settings for the heads-up display, and to turn the upper screen off. We have seat controls down below, so the heated and cooled seats for both the front passengers. You can also pull up some more climate controls up here for the heated steering wheel. Your air fragrance, air ionizer as well, and to pull up the rear climate control. So now it'll change to controlling the rear climate when you press that button. There's also a couple of buttons on the bottom that are not on the screen, but are still sort of a capacitive touch button. You have your drive mode select, traction control off, the hazards, quick defroster buttons as well. You have the start stop button for the engine. Also your parking cameras, you could press that and it'll pull right up. Lots of different views for the parking camera. So this is kind of like your wide angle front. You have a normal angle front view, a top down, rear view, wide angle view. You can also see the front and rear tires. But that's not it. There's also a party trick. When you click the 3D, it'll show you all the way around the car, which is very, very neat. And kind of on this side, it'll always show you a top down. You have a button on the right side that when you press that can control all of the driver's assistance. So I'll scroll through there, see what kind of stuff you got here. And you can toggle all that stuff on and off in case one system is bothering you, not the other. Volume knob and skip between your tracks. And we come down here to this piece of modern art, I guess you could say. It's a very interesting take on a gear selector. This leather part right here is kind of just where you rest your arm, and you use your thumb and your pointer finger to adjust the gears with the park at the side. So if you move it all the way up, it'll put you into reverse. Kind of a half a click down is neutral, and all the way down is drive. And you can also put it into a sport mode with clicking it back like so. And that'll give you your sort of boost function. It'll enable a little bit more power to get you off the line a little bit quicker, which is pretty cool. Now obviously park is at the side. You also have your e-brake right here. Pretty large storage console down here, all open wireless charging phone pad. As you can see, there's a little clip for your phone. You rest the back up against this pad, it'll charge it for you. And you also have a couple of cup holders that fold out. Nice smooth armrest that goes back and forth. And you also have a decent amount of storage in there. Moving over to the passenger area, take a look at how they laid the wood in this car. You usually see wood like kind of on a surface like this. This is almost like a shelf, and it looks pretty neat. In the glove box, it's all lockable and everything. You have quite a bit of room, and you can actually, it folds down flat, so if you wanted to put a tray of fast food or something to eat on really quick, you can definitely do something like that. The rear view mirror is auto dimming, frameless, and has a compass on it. Full black headliner for this car, which really kind of makes it pop against the brown interior. LED touch lighting up here. You also have sunshade, sunroof controls, a little bit more lighting controls, and some information and SOS buttons. I'm going to open up the sunshade. As you can see, pretty good size panoramic sunroof, a little bit smaller than what's on the normal configuration e-tron. That's just due to the sloping roof. And you also have a separate button here to tilt and slide the sunroof. One more thing I wanted to point out before we go on our test drive. We have nice visors that fold out and extend, and you also have a mirror and a light. But enough of all the features. Let's get this thing out on the road and see how it drives. Alright, so taking the e-tron out for a drive, I'm just going to put the window down. And we're against this building here. I'm going to show you how outlandish the sound is as this thing makes. It's pretty crazy. I hope you guys could hear that. But on this drive, we're gonna start out in comfort mode. We'll get a feel for the suspension. I'm gonna switch over to dynamic mode quick. We'll give it a nice acceleration. We'll see how fast we can get it from 25 to 60. I usually like to do the test. After that, we're gonna put it back into comfort mode and we're gonna test out the suspension. But for right now, it's a good spot to test the turning circle. So we'll close this sunshade because my GoPro's been overheating on me today. Pretty good turning circle there. I really hope this outlandish noise is getting picked up on the camera's microphones there, because it is quite the Jetsons noise. As we get out onto this more main road here, we'll hopefully be reaching speeds of 45 to 50 miles an hour, obviously depending on traffic. We'll see what it sounds like tire noise wise, and also wind noise. Key is rattling like crazy down there. Well, this might be all we get here because of traffic. Oh boy, this looks like fun. All right, now that we passed the policeman, let's get this thing up to speed a little bit. So not quite up to 50 miles an hour, but at 40 there is virtually no noise intrusion at all. A little bit from the larger mirrors, but that's it. I mean, there is not a lot of tire noise, there's not a lot of wind noise, not a lot of that at all. And for this part, I'm gonna drop it into dynamic mode and also pull back the shifter, which will give us the extra boost. As you can see down there, get it up to 25 and mash the throttle, see how fast we can get this car up to 60. Yeah, that was quite the fast 25 to 60 run with the instant torque. That puts your head back. And it's no waiting for the transmission to kick down or anything like that. No turbos to spool. It's just instant power. And it definitely feels like 400 horsepower. A heavy 400 horsepower, but it's there. It is totally there. This car does have the air suspension. Put it back into comfort mode. Yeah, you could feel a little bit of body roll, but you can also feel most of the weight is very low. You could feel the center of gravity in this car. You know, the battery pack is pretty much the floorboards of this car, and you could feel it. It's got a very low center of gravity. As you can see, it's applying the brakes for me just a little bit to charge the battery, and if I want to apply it more, I press the minus paddle shifter, and if you want less, just press the plus, and it'll actually turn right off with the paddle shifters as well. Very neat. So they kind of give you some level of control with the regenerative braking. And the air suspension gives you quite the, I guess you could say, muted ride. It's there's not a lot of intrusion or feeling, I should say, in the suspension. It kind of just glides over the bumps. You feel a little bit of undulation, obviously, from the rough parts of the road. But there's nothing unwanted, and that was a very rough section of the road. You know, usually with the air suspension, you kind of get this floaty feeling, and it's not at all with this car. It's a very nicely balanced car. Extremely comfortable seats. There's so many ways that you can move these seats around. You're bound to find a very comfortable position with the thigh extensions and the side support on the bottom cushion and the top cushion, as well as the massage. Can't forget about that. I just can't get over the sounds that this car makes. And I've driven plenty of e-trons in the past couple of years that have been out. And every time I drive one, it just, I don't know, it does something. And I'm not a huge electric car guy. I like my internal combustion engines, and I really hope they don't go anywhere. But if this is the way of the future for, you know, a daily driver, then I'd be fine with that, as long as I could keep my internal combustion engine for the weekends. I'm not sure if the camera on my head is at the right angle, but if you can see the heads-up display, it's displaying our current speed, the speed limit on the particular road that we're on, and also our lane keeping assist. And on this final stretch, we'll give it a good half throttle acceleration. All right, so cruising on back into our filming studio here. What are my thoughts on the e-tron, or the e-tron Sportback in particular? Now, in case you're wondering, we are going to film a normal e-tron. We're going to try to find a more basic model to film, so we don't have all these fancy features, and you can see what a kind of premium trim level, which is the base model of the e-tron, a premium trim level e-tron looks like. But yeah, what are my thoughts on the e-tron? So having driven many e-trons, as I said before, it kind of does something for you when you drive one of these things. It's just kind of an experience like no other. Really, you just don't get the feel. You don't have like a really character of the engine. It's just a comfortable driving experience. You don't get the thrashing of the gears and the noise of the internal combustion engine. It's just quiet and comfort. That's pretty much the name of the game with the e-tron. Unbelievable technology too with this car. The camera systems are second pretty crazy. Just a really nice and well put together car. Definitely very well thought out. It's not this crazy departure from an internal combustion engine car. Like a lot of the EVs of now are just crazy design and things you've never seen before. This is still a car that everybody's used to. You know, it's still very familiar as an Audi. Everything is the same, but with a little bit of an electric car flair. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the e-tron Sportback. I hope you enjoyed this car just as much as I have. And I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.